Afternoon, everybody. This is Jeff from Rust Bucket Valley Garage. I want to talk to you a little bit today about vehicle inspections. And my son-in-law, Christian, asked me a question here a couple of days ago. And he says, when you take and send your vehicle into the dealership for an inspection, and there are various kinds that you can get. There is 10 point, 25 point, 40 point, 50 point. The granddaddy of them all, you can get 150 point, which if you take and look at the list of stuff that they say they're going to do, there are a lot of duplicates on there. So if you actually remove all the duplicates, it's more like 141 point. Some of the things, if you check one thing, you go off and check something else, and then you come back and you check something else on that individual item. You know, like if you're going to check a tire, you check the wear that are on the treads. Then you go off and do something, then you come back and you check the pressure, and then you go off and you do something, and then you come back and you check and see if there's cupping on the tread, which would indicate a problem with the wheel alignment. For all of the things that they do, I noticed on all of the checklists that there are two items in there that they do not even mention. One is looking at the drive line and see that the drive line is properly lubricated, and see that the U-joints are tight, because if you have a failure of a drive line on the freeway, it could take and flip your car. Okay, that'd be a very bad thing. The other thing is that they do not take and ask you to take and hook up a scan tool and see if there's any pending codes in the engine control module or any of the other modules, body control module or the brake systems. You know, they don't ask you to take and see if there's any pending codes. If there's any pending codes, you know, it might be a heads up that something is going on. So if you actually look at the list of things that they are going to be checking, since there's not 150, there's approximately 141, you can actually really boil that down to 23. 23, if you look at these items, you will take and see the overall health of your car. And if there's anything going on with one of these 23, then you'll have to take to investigate further. But this would be an inspection for a used vehicle. Either you're going to have your mechanic look at a vehicle that you are thinking of purchasing, or you're going to be doing the inspection yourself. Okay, it's very important that you take and go over a used vehicle, because in the times that we are in right now, we are paying more and more for the vehicles that we purchased in the used market. Even the new cars, I got an example the other day. There was a 2022 brand new Toyota Camry. It was $38,000. That is an awful lot of money to spend on a car. So if you wanted to go into the 150 point checklist, which is actually 141, you want to take and make sure that your paperwork that you're getting with the vehicle identifies the vehicle you're getting. So you want to check the anti-theft labels, and you want to check the vehicle identification number plate and see if they are correct and they match. If you have access to any of the hidden VINs, like on the Hondas, there is a a little cover on the passenger side in the floor mat. You lift up the floor mat and look at it. The VIN number is stamped into the frame through the carpet, and there's a little window there so you can take a look at it and see if you're getting the vehicle that you're signing up for. You want to take and go to one of the car history services that are on the internet, and it'll cost you a couple of dollars, but you want to take and get the history of it, see if there's any problems with the odometer, because in certain states odometer fraud is a really big thing. You can wind up paying thousands of dollars more for a car that is lower mileage, and it turns out that the odometer has been rolled back surreptitiously, so that would be a drag. You want to take and look in the car report and see if there's been any accidents. If it's a flooded car, which came from Texas, they've had floods, Louisiana, New Orleans, Georgia. They've had a lot of incidents where they've had a lot of flooding there, and all of those cars that they get flooded and turned onto the market for resale, and they'll have a salvage title at that point. You really don't want to take and do anything with those, because it generally ruins every single electronic module on there. Getting into the meat and potatoes, you want to look at the battery condition. You can do a battery load test on there. That's one of the ones that you should actually do. That is one of the 23 that I suggest you do. The alternator, you want to see the output, the belt tension, you want to see if it's charging correctly. It's another one. The water pump, you want to see if it's leaking, if the front bearing is loose. Ignition system operation, does the thing start and run? Fuel system operation, you want to look at all your connections. You want to see if there's any leaks there. If there's a leak at the carburetor, if you have a carbureted model, or if there's any leak at the fuel injection ports. That could be an engine fire right there. Take a total your vehicle out. If you don't have comprehensive fire insurance on your insurance policy, that would be a total loss, and you would be totally out of pocket for the entire vehicle. The fuel filter, when was the last time that puppy was replaced? Radiator, you want to check for leaks. On the S10s, the S10s have an aluminum core. They have ABS side tanks. The ABS side tanks, from the expansion and contraction and getting hot and getting cold, like to crack. So you want to make sure that there's none of that going on. I've had 3 vehicles come in with cracked radiator tanks, and they've all been ABS. And as a matter of fact, they've all been Chevrolet products. So you want to take and check those out. You want to make sure the coolant recovery tank is present, it's in good condition. A lot of times they get brittle. You want to make sure that when the engine is running, that there's no bubbles or foam inside the coolant recovery tank. That could mean that there's possibly a head gasket blown, or cracked head, cracked block. That would be a real red flag. I would walk away from a vehicle like that unless there was something really, really special about it, like it was a classic, like a 1969 Barracuda, something like that, and I just had to have it, and it had a nice 383 engine in it. Yeah, I'd probably take and buy it with a cracked head. The AC condenser, most of the AC condensers are made of aluminum. You want to make sure that there's not too much of any corrosion on there. A lot of the cars come from the East Coast where they salt the roads. Salt eats aluminum, so you want to watch that. Cooling fans, you want to make sure the cooling fans work. They come on when they're supposed to. The coolant level should be up where it should be. Shouldn't be any coolant leaks. Power steering fluid should be up. The AC compressor when you take and put the AC on, it should be cycling properly. The air coming out of the vents when it is on high should noticeably take and cool down the inside of the car. So you want to make sure that the Freon is up and that the pump is good, and those two things will be okay if it's cooling down the inside of the passenger compartment correctly. You want to make sure that the power steering is where it should be, that it doesn't make any weird sounds when you turn the wheel from all the way left to all the way right. Shouldn't be any grinding sounds, shouldn't be any whining sounds. Whining sounds could be a bad pump, could be a loose belt, could be low on fluid. Brake master cylinder and the booster, you want to make sure that nothing's leaking and that your engine idle is not doing funny things. If your engine idle is racing, one of the things could be is a bad power booster, because that goes directly into your manifold. It would make your engine run, take the fuel settings and just run them off the scale. So that you want to take a look at that. Your tire tread depth, make sure the wear bars aren't showing. They should be, the wear pattern should be good on them. There shouldn't be any cupping or wear on the outside or inside. It should be even wear across your tires, because that could show a wheel alignment problem. Your wheels and rims, if there's any damage, that should be attended to. Your valve stems. Valve stems are rubber. When you are in dry conditions, like any place out in the desert, Palm Springs, Casino City, Indio, 29 Palms, humidity is low, temperature is high, is really bad on rubber parts. You will see that I did a video here a couple of weeks ago where the sole problem for this one car stalling and running roughly was because the environment out there had done a lot of damage to the rubber hoses, split the ends, and it was letting unmetered air go into the engine. So you want to pay attention to that. Want to make sure all your lug nuts are on there, that they're tight, that the spare tire's in good condition. Sometimes we forget about that because it's in the back seat, or it's in the trunk, or it's under the car, and we don't really pay attention to it. It can be flat, and then when you need it and you don't have it, that's a drag. You check for engine oil leaks, transmission oil leaks, coolant leaks. Coolant leaks, that is one of the duplicates of that is on this list. So it means you're checking for the same thing twice. So that's why it's not a 150 point checklist, it's 141. Your CV joints, your boots, your drive shaft, universal joints that are in your CV shafts. If you turn right or turn left and you get kind of a sound like marbles in a tin can, most probably you have a bad CV joint. If you put it up on a jack and you look at the boots and there is grease all over the place, it means that joint is being starved of lubrication. It means its life is going to be severely limited. So you want to take and either replace the boot if there has been no damage to the knuckle done, or you want to take and replace the CV shaft. It's not that hard to do. They're cheap. It's about $180, most expensive one I've seen so far. So should be able to do that. It takes you about 4 hours to take and do the job. Your brake pad thickness, since you're looking at your brakes, should be enough to take and get you a little ways. Your rotors should not be turned to the point where they're paper thin. There will be a stamped number in thousandths, and you'll have to take a caliper or a micrometer and use that number to measure your thickness of your rotors. The reason that thin rotors is a problem is because when you do a lot of high-speed braking, there's a lot of thermal mass there, and the thinner the rotors are, the less thermal mass there will be, so that means your brakes will heat up faster and you will get brake fade, okay, which means that you will not be able to take and stop when you need to stop. So that is really a safety hazard. All your hydraulic brake lines and everything and your steel brake lines should be in good shape, shouldn't be all rusty and everything. They have new ones now that are coated. It's almost, it's a green stuff. If I was comparing it to a firearm, I'd say it was Parkerized. It's that color. Your McPherson struts, they should not be leaking down. There shouldn't be any damage in them. If you have shocks, there shouldn't be any leakage on those. They're important for a good ride. If you go over a dip and your front end keeps bouncing, then you either got bad struts or bad shocks. Ball joints and tie rod ends, they should be tight and they all should be lubricated. There's a Zerk fitting where you can put a grease gun on there, hit those every couple of thousand miles, make the joints last a long time. Power steering rack shouldn't be leaking, and the boots should be in good shape. The exhaust system should be in good shape. There shouldn't be any leaks, shouldn't be any rattles. All your rubber mounts should be intact. Your exhaust flange gaskets should be tight. Your emissions control, make sure all of your emissions equipment is in good shape, and when you put the code reader on there, it will tell you the things that generally taken we find that give problems are oxygen sensors and mass airflow. So the mass airflow sensor gets a bunch of gunk in it and it gets clogged up. The air can't take and really flow through the airflow. It's kind of like a little tunnel with a hole in it. So if that's not clean, you get an erroneous reading, go in the engine control module, make your engine run rough. Your oxygen sensors, the pre-cat and post-cat, you can fail your smog inspection if one of those is gone out. They operate in a hazardous environment in the exhaust stream. It's very hot with very noxious fumes. What generally goes out is the heaters. When you hook your scan tool up, you can check the voltage and the current on the oxygen sensors, and if you see something weird compared to the other ones, you probably got a bad one. Make sure all your lights are working correctly. Make sure your brake lights work. The water pump doesn't make noise, doesn't leak. That's a duplicate of number 6, because they ask you to take and check that twice. The ignition system operation, that's a duplicate, number 7, so they ask you to check that twice. All your running lights, if you have running lights, license plate light. In California here, the cops are really looking to take and give you a ticket for any little thing. If they cannot take and read your license plate, you will take and get an equipment violation for it. And in addition to having to take and pay to get the light replaced, there's a court-mandated fee for that. It's like $20, $25, something like that, some stupid fee. So make sure your license plate light is illuminated correctly. Tail lights and turn signals and everything, your backup lights, emergency flashers should be operating properly. If you're buying a used car, make sure that, see if you can take and get an owner's manual with it. Might give you some tips, especially the newer cars. There are so many buttons, lights, beepers, and everything. It would be nice to take and know what all that means. You should get 2 sets of keys. Look for water leaks inside the car. That'll be around the doors if the gasket is shot, around the windshield, the sealant or the gasket is shot. Fuel gauge should operate properly, temperature gauge should operate properly. When you turn on your key on your dash, all the warning lights should come on, and then when you start, they should go off. Okay, and that is a system check. Okay, if they do not come on, something is wrong. Okay. All your dash lights should be illuminated when you take and turn the headlights on. The windshield wiper should be in good shape, good repair. Here in Southern California, get a lot of sunshine, and it eats a rubber on the windshield washers, or windshield wipers rather. So you got to take and change those readily. Make sure your windshield washer fluid is up. You can use regular water. You don't have to spend money and put the blue stuff in there. You should use distilled water though. That'll keep your water spots off of your windscreen. The audio system, radio, CD, make sure it links to your telephone. The new ones will link to your telephone. You'll be able to take and hear your calls through the stereo system in your car. Here we have a law that says that you must have hands-free operation of your cell phone. Last I checked, the ticket is $178 plus court costs, so it makes it about $285. So it's an expensive ticket. Better that they can do it hands-free. The navigation, if you have Navi, make sure it works. Make sure the rear camera works. If the rear camera doesn't work, new rear camera for a Honda is $482. Maybe you want to take that cost on. Maybe you want them to take and pay for that. You can try. See if they get a bill of work out of them and say yes, they will take and replace that. Backup camera is really handy. OnStar, if you have a GM product, Cadillac product, it generally has OnStar. Make sure OnStar works. You need a subscription to it, so either activate it, don't activate it. It has a sensor in it. Whenever you get into collision, it will automatically call you help, and it will assist. OnStar will assist fire rescue to locate you using GPS coordinates. So if you drive up in the mountains a lot and you've gone into a ravine or something, it is awful handy. It really is. If there's a clock on there, make sure the clock works. Steering wheel tilt, sunroof, make sure that works. Rolls back and forth, the cover rolls back and forth, make sure it doesn't leak. When you go to the car wash the first time, you'll know. Cigarette lighter, if you're a smoker, should be present. If not, you can use it as a power outlet, charge your phone. The alarm theft system should be operational. The SRS system, the seatbelt restraint system. If you run codes on it through your scanner, you will see that the SRS system is active. There are no fault codes, which means that the airbags are on standby. They're ready to go in case there's an incident. The seatbelt retractors are not extended like they've been in an accident, or they're not locked up. Like vehicles we get in here, that if they've been in a real bad collision, the seatbelt retractors will lock, and we'll have to send them out and get them rebuilt. So yeah, got to take and see if everything's all right on those. Make sure your outside mirrors are in good operation. Some of them are remote, where you can sit in the driver's seat and they have a button where you can take and move them around. Make sure that works. The rear view mirror should operate daylight, nighttime. Okay, should be a switch on the bottom where you can take and change that. Make sure the windows go up and down, that they don't drag. Make sure it's smooth operation. Make sure that all of the switches from all 4 doors or all 2 doors operate all of the windows that they're supposed to. So from the driver's seat, you should be able to operate all of the windows from either the passenger or the back seat. You should be operate the left or right window depending on your left or right activation. You have a power sliding door. Make sure that works properly. Those things are expensive to fix. The door locks. Make sure everything locks and unlocks with the key. Sometimes they'll give you a key fob and the thing won't work. Got to get that fixed. That is a very expensive fix. It is about $300 to fix door lock, and for a key fob to recode it, it's about $400. Okay, so you might get a bill of work from them, have them take and fix that if it's a dealership. Your inside vanity mirrors and your lights, you know, for your wife, your girlfriend, you want to make sure those work. They're also good if you get something in your eye and you're driving, so you can take and check that out. The glove box, sometimes the glove boxes are broken, sometimes latches are broken, sometimes they rattle. Check the luggage compartment. The jack and the tool set should be present. Liftgate operations, they should do what they're supposed to do. The new GM and Ford trucks have a power tailgate. It should latch and unlatch the way it should. That will tell you if there's been a collision. Your gaps should be good on both sides. The fuel door release should work properly. If it does not release from the driver's position, there's an electronic switch that is inside the fuel door, but you have to get the fuel door open to repair it. So there's two ways that you can do that. You can either pull the left rear fender liner and reach up inside, and you can manually unlock it from there, or in the trunk on the left side behind the panels there is a cable that you can take and pull that, and it will allow you to open up the fuel door. The hood release is very important. If anything goes on with the car, you need to be able to get in there, see what's going on. You should take it for a drive. How does it start up? How does it idle properly? Are there any, does it idle roughly? Are there any weird sounds? Are there any belts screeching at you? Anything grinding and that kind of stuff? Your instrument and gauges should come up to where they should be. Oil pressure should be up, fuel should be up, engine temperature should come up anywhere between 165 and 180 degrees. It depends on the thermostat that you have in your car. You can set that. I run my vehicles a little bit on the cool side. I run them at 165 degrees. The computer on board will only allow you a certain range. 165, 170 is about the minimum where you will get a check engine light on if your engine does not take and warm up in a certain amount of time, because it means that the engine control module is not seeing the engine heat up correctly. Okay, so that can be one of the problems you can have, that your thermostat is the incorrect temperature range. Okay, and obviously if it gets too hot, means that the thermostat could be stuck closed. They've done some modifications on the engine thermostats over the last couple of years. They are supposed to fail in the open position. That is not always true. We have seen them fail in the closed position, and it will make the engine overheat. And that causes nasty damage. It can warp your heads off. It can take and blow head gaskets and things like that. So obviously you don't want that to happen. Fluid leaks while your engine is running, dripping oil from the pan or the transmission pan. Cruise control, make sure that works. Make sure that the transmission shifts through all of its gears the way it should. You will feel a noticeable shift when the engine causes the transmission to shift. So also wind noise, if there's any excessive wind noise, if there's any vibration in the wheels of the drivetrain, make sure the car doesn't slip left or right when you're steering. Make sure the steering wheel is on center steer, that it's not left or right. Parking brake has to work. The thing should go around corners tightly and flatly, which means that when you go around the corner, it should not do something like this. It should go around flatly so that it shows all the suspension is tight, that you haven't got any worn bushings. Safety belt should be in good shape, shouldn't be all worn. Blind spot monitoring, that would be one of the more recent cars that it will beep at you if you go to change lanes and there's a car there. If you're looking on the inside, all the exterior lamps should work. The underside of the hood should be clean. The grill should be clean. You're looking for body damage, you're looking for paint chips, things like that. Front and rear bumper are good candidates for chips, especially on the top of the rear bumper, because that's where people load packages into the trunk and unload them, and that's get chipped up a lot. The Toyotas and the Honda have a membrane that they have put on there that will cut down on the chips to your paint. So this is a very valuable little thing. That's a smart thing. The trunk lid should close properly. It should open properly too through the switch in the passenger compartment. The roof should be in good condition. If you're taking a look at the carpet, see the carpet's okay, see if the upholstery isn't all worn and everything, stains. You might have to send the vehicle out and get it detailed. One of the vehicles that we were rebuilding for a customer, somebody spilled a Coke in the passenger seat. So one of my very good friends was nice enough to come over and clean that out, and it did not come out easy. So you can have the engine detailed, you can have a car detailed, have a real nice wax and buff put on there, and have all your glass clean and everything. Should be also looking at all your weather stripping, see if your weather stripping's in good shape. So that's about the end of the list. So the 150 point inspection is actually 141, and my must-have inspection is 23. So make sure you know what you're getting when you sign up for it. Because if you get the 150 point inspection, they're going to be pulling stuff apart and looking at it and everything. It is going to cost you some money. It is really going to cost you some money. You're going to be without your car probably an entire day, where they're going to be poking around in there and pulling stuff apart, putting stuff back together. And of course, they will come up with a bunch of stuff that you may need, you may not need, you may be close to needing, but it's best if you go ahead and have an inspection made. Then you get a list of things that needs to be done, and then at that point you say thank you very much, pay for the inspection, and take the list home and look it over. What is it they are saying that you need? Okay, if you are a mechanic, look at these things. See how much brake pad is left, see if those hoses need to be changed, see if those fan belts are worn. It's very important these days that you take and maintain your vehicle the way it's supposed to be. I change my engine oil and filter every 3,500 miles. My first engine got 225,000 miles out of it, and then it blew a head gasket. So there's another video on Rust Bucket Valley Garage that I did where we took that engine apart and I showed you the damage from a blown head gasket. And generally it takes and messes up the top of the block, so you would have to take and remove the engine and have the top of the block flattened out by a machine shop. Okay, so take good cares of your cars. They will take good care of you. Okay, they will take you long, they will take you far, they will be good to you. I hope I've given you some good information. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for taking a look at this video and all my other videos. Thank you for over 10,000 people looking at my channel and seeing what I had to say on a variety of subjects. And thank you, my wonderful subscribers. We love you all here at Rust Bucket Valley. So please give us a comment, let you know what you think of the videos. And thank you, Christian, for suggesting this video. Really appreciate it. Have a good day.